Welcome to 45 on the Hour podcast. I'm your host, Colt 45, and I'm with the ninja, Eric Medina, professor in black belt jiu-jitsu, the Darce Knight.
Thank you.
I'm getting crazier with my intros, aren't I?
We have a special Friday edition podcast. We haven't done a Friday before. And then this is episode number 18.
I thought it was 19, bro. Looking at Rob over here. Is it 19? 18?
19?
18.
Oh, right.
Yeah. 19. See?
Oh, what the heck?
Anyways, man. Yeah, so Fridays are a deal for us. Typically, we don't do podcasts on a Friday, but we made a little bit of change.
Yeah, I was running a little bit late today. I just have a different routine on Fridays. I usually stay in the valley until late.
Right.
Yeah. But this is cool. We're up. Carmen she has the car right now. She's going to go get her lift in. And then we have a dance lesson at 2:00.
Nice, bro.
Right?
We'll get that. We'll get you out of here so you can go back with the wife.
We got time, dude. You know?
So guys, this podcast is a good one. And I'll tell you why you guys need to listen to this one, because we have a guest today. Our guest is a freaking awesome dude, for one. I've been following this guy for a while. Me and him are like twins. We're like twins. Like, I've been watching his stuff and my stuff, and I'm like motivating him, I feel like, and he's motivating me, and I've been feeding off of him and he's feeding off of me. And not to mention, he's a man of God. And I've been looking up to this guy for quite some time now, following him. I wanted to learn more about him. He's got a super cool background and history, and just all the stuff that he's doing right now I super appreciate. His name's Anthony Salcido. Welcome to the show.
Man, what a pleasure. Dude, just keep speaking, bro. I need to hear that. I need to hear that kind of stuff.
The intro.
Well, man, what a pleasure to be here on a Friday. No, you guys didn't do this on a Friday. I just disrupted your schedule, man.
No,
it's
man,
cool.
no,
It works out. It's
it
cool.
all worked out. I don't. It's adversity. That's the word I was trying to tell you earlier.
Adversity.
Yeah. So I don't like succumbing to people's adversities. So my adversity was trying something different. Yeah. So we're mixing it up a little bit.
I love it. This is great.
Friday.
And Friday, there's something special about Friday, right? It's the weekend's coming. You grind it all week, and here you are on a Friday. And to be able to do this with you guys, thank you. And hey, I appreciate that, man. So excited to be here. I'm blessed. I don't live too far from here, which is nice.
You live in Ventura, right? Or Simi, I'm sorry.
I'm in Simi, lead pastor at a
Ventura.
church called Fortress Church in Ventura. Our tagline there is live your purpose. Because why? Because we're all made with purpose.
I love it.
And the enemy loves to lie to us and tell us we got no purpose, we got no potential.
The deceiver.
The great deceiver, the liar, Gospel of John, Jesus makes it very clear that he's the father of lies. How about that? So, but here we are, brother. Let's do this. I love it.
We're talking about the devil, right?
The enemy, the devil, man. That's right.
That's the lower frequency, right? That we've been talking about.
It's got to be the lowest frequency. It's interesting. I saw YouTube on Mike Tyson. It's interesting, man. How he was talking about that's like the lowest form of himself is the guy who's, the guy who's just out there, having sex with all these women and looking at porn. And it was interesting to see a YouTube on a podcast with him saying, that's like the lowest frequency of myself. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to go into the lowest frequency of yourself. And that's exactly where the devil, the enemy, Satan wants you to be,
And talking about frequencies, because I just started actually going over the echelon level of frequencies. There's actually one online, and I started researching it.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can pull it up here. But anger is actually one of the lower forms.
Yeah.
And one of the higher forms is authenticity. And that's crazy, right?
That's good.
I would have thought like the higher forms, like what? Maybe like, I don't know, like what would that be? And then there's this whole echelon level.
Yeah. And to be honest, as you looked that up, I'm not too savvy on frequency levels, to be honest with you. I'm not like, so when I hear that, I'm like, okay, I can only imagine what that would look like. But I know, obviously, when God created us, he created us with energy, and he created, and you've all walked into a room and you can sense energy like, oh, dude, these are some bad dudes here. Or, hey, dude, I love this. I was just with a group of guys and I just said, hey, man, the energy in here is amazing.
Yeah. We feed off of energy. And then you're also aware of like when people suck energy.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways, you know?
Yeah.
You, as an instructor, a pastor, a leader, you're always
Yeah.
pouring into people, you know? And sometimes like, that's like, it drains your energy.
Oh, 100%.
You know?
That's why, you know, like I said, we were talking earlier before we went live, but I was just with my friend Butch Hartman, who's a godly man. He's a successful in the industry in Hollywood animation. And
You said fairly odd parents?
odd parents.
Okay.
Yeah. He goes to the Comic-Cons. He's a really good dude. He's based out in Calabasas, but just sitting with him for an hour, like just talking. Because he's a pastor himself, but he also is an entrepreneur and does his thing. And just to be sharpened. Like we hear that. We hear a lot of people talk about that. It's actually a Proverb 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, right? As one man sharpens another. Dude, we forget this. If I don't have brothers in my life, if I don't have a community of men willing to die and spill blood for me, I'm missing out, because I think that's the intention of brotherhood. And you guys, I'm not a military guy. First of all, thank you for your service.
Welcome, thank you.
I love military. At our church, we make it a point, you know, to honor them any chance we get. And without that, we don't got a country, man. You know, so thank you guys for doing that. But you understand the camaraderie of military, and you know, you're lifting each other up. You know, you don't leave a guy, you know, falling behind. Brotherhood, man.
Lifting each other up, supporting each other is a big thing that most of the people out there don't really get unless they had that somehow.
Taking off the second, then we'll go back to human emotion and vibrations.
Sorry.
Why is that a thing though? Why is that a thing?
Why do
in
we
the military?
need,
why are we so connected?
Because we're so tight knit, and we all have to do the same job. I gotta make sure you can do my job if I'm not there. We have to pull each other up. You know, we are. How can I say it? Like part of that circle.
The reason why we're tight, and the reason why people get closer in connection, is because there's a tighter emotional bond. That's how human beings vibrate. So if we went through a really manic episode together, our relationship would be tighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's why jujitsu is so great for bonding, and you don't forget people. You get humbled by people, you don't forget them, and your connection is closer.
Yeah.
Even especially with me and Eric. Like if we roll together, he's tapping me out. He's humbling me.
Yeah.
And so there's a connection with that, because we're vibrating.
Yeah.
We're exchanging energy, and we're pushing and pulling. And then I'm like, I might think I have something on here because maybe I'm a little bit bigger than him or stronger, but then all of a sudden, boom, he's like tapping me out. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my man.
Yeah.
And then there's like a different level of like respect there.
Yeah.
And there's a level of, you know, emotional connection that's deeper.
Yeah.
And then especially if you go through like financial things with people, or, you know, anything, especially, you know, like being in wartime with somebody, and you're going through war, and then you're doing things that you didn't think you'd ever do, you know, and you see like people hurt, or you have to hurt people. Those are traumatizing.
Yeah.
So those people, you never forget about them. And if they ever call you 20 years later, you're just like, hey, what's up, man? Oh, you need a place to stay? Yeah. You got my bed.
You pick right back up.
Yeah.
You pick right back up, you know?
But those guys are hard to find. And you know, you gotta really, because we've all had our stories, man. We've been burnt. We think someone's got our back and they don't, you know, and or you know, it's easy to have a bunch of friends where you got when the money's flowing and everything's great. But when you lose it all, who's spending time with you? You know, that's what happened to Tyson. I bring up Tyson because I'm like, man, his story's insane. You know, when he had multi-millions, man, everybody was his friend. But where were all those friends when he lost it all? When he was going down a path of destruction, right? So that's all I'm saying is like real brotherhood. I call them foxhole men, willing to jump in a freaking foxhole, under fire. Like there's shrapnel, there's bombs blowing off in your life, whatever it is around you. Who's the man who's going to stand with you, man? I've been with men like who are going through divorces. Like, dude, you want me to go with you to court? I'll go there. I mean, there was a guy, a well-known boxer, and he was a world champ. And I remember going to court. He was going through some really hard stuff. And just to be in the proximity of somebody can really lift them up, can really like be encouraging. I went through, and we'll get to that. There's a lot of fun stuff.
Nah, keep going, bro.
Brothers, but I'm personal friends with Chuck Liddell, UFC legend. And,
nice.
And I was
Big Chuck, bro, the Iceman.
Dude, we all grew up with it. I grew up
bro.
watching this guy and you know, my friend's living room, watching him on TV, you know. And
his energy, man, the whole like chest out, after he wins the fight, like that's what I got in my head of him,
image. It's funny. He shares all kinds of stories. He's the cool. If you were to see him on the street,
he's a real martial artist too.
Yeah, yeah. I think it hit Kempo background, I believe. He was a stand-up guy. One of the things he regrets is not taking things to the ground more, he would say, because he just relied too much on his brawling.
He also wrestled at Cal Poly. He's a D1 wrestler, I believe. Yeah, he had a ground game, but he was known for his striking.
Knockout power. Yeah, exactly. And you know how that goes, man. When you endure trauma, I mean, there's nothing you can do when your chin is, gets pushed in, they say,
Yeah, for sure.
But for the time that he was, I mean, Joe Rogan has come out and said without a guy like Chuck Liddell, the UFC would not have taken off and gone mainstream. Dana White too, top 2 fighters of all time. People don't know this. Dana White was his manager. You know that? I didn't know that. He was his manager for him and Tito Ortiz. Yep. And then when the whole UFC stuff got going, he was the guy that they were looking to take this thing to the next level. So think about that pressure. You sit around with a guy like that, but there's a reason they call him the Iceman. You guys know that?
I had no idea.
First of all, that's like one of the baddest, nicknames
out there. Yeah,
you got to earn that.
That's so sick.
But man. I always, people always thought, well, it's that stare that he's got that ice cold stare. He's got that he just look at you, that mad dog. But it's according to him, and he stays true to this. He never got scared before fights. He'd be sleeping before a fight. So, his trainer, and they'd be like, man, this is the Iceman. So it just stayed with him. It's pretty amazing.
When you stay relaxed, you're very dangerous.
They talk about fear, and they talk about fear in the angles that like fear is something that you just don't have continuous involvement with, right? So a lot of people talk about being afraid to do anything in their life, whether it be to get in an actual fist fight, to protect yourself, to make financial gain, to better yourself. It's all about fear. Yeah. And fear is just the unknown. But if the unknown constantly presents itself all the time with you, your brain goes into, and I don't know if I've talked about this before, but your brain basically goes back to a library. And it like looks for that book and it says, have we been here before? Have you stuck your hand in the dark hole before? Oh, you have. And then what happened? Oh, nothing happened. Okay, cool. We'll pull the book out and then we can give it to you and you can go on long, and put your hand in that dark hole. The thing with that is that your brain always goes back to your conscious memory and it constantly thinks, okay, have we been here before? The more repetition you have with that, the less fear you have. So that fear level goes down. And every time you approach it, it becomes easier. That's why problems need to persist. Yeah. Problems are just a part of life. But the more problems that you actually have in life, the better. Because it just gets easier to deal with. You just become almost numb to it because you've dealt with the same problems over and over again, which, inhibits fear. And that's why fear is probably not an issue for Chuck Liddell. Yeah. Because he's fought his whole life.
Well, we were sitting in his living room a couple days ago because we got this big event. We'll talk about that in a little bit up in Big Bear called The Conquest. But we're filming these welcome videos for all the guys who are signing up for this event. And just having these sidebar conversations about, he shared the coolest story about when he was in high school, went to San Marcos High School. And we've probably all been there before in high school, crazy high school days, right? But he always had this heart for he didn't like bullies. He was always like a protector. That's part of being a man, right? To protect. You can be a predator, you can be a protector, right? And there was this kid with Down syndrome and he had his books in his hand and this guy who thought he'd be funny just walked up to the guy and he slapped these books out of his hands and everybody started laughing.
Out of Chuck's hands.
The Down syndrome, the kid who had Down syndrome had these books, and a guy ran up to him and thought he was going to be funny and just slapped these books out of his hand. And everybody started laughing. And Chuck saw that. He goes, oh, hell no. And he walked up to that guy. I think he slapped him around a little bit. He said, you know what? Pick up his books. In fact, I want you to take these books and take him to his classroom because we're not going to deal with that. And I just think about that for a second. Like that's who we should be, right? Standing up for other people, standing up for the guy, to be protectors, right? And there's a lot of people out there who are just predators, who look at you as either like a dollar sign or what can I get out of you? And the reality is, man, we need more protectors in this world, protecting the things that are special, and those who are less fortunate, less vulnerable. So when you talk about frequencies, it's like the predator's probably at the lowest frequency imaginable, right?
Correct. Yeah. And I think that as protectors, as men, I mean, today I think men are a little bit different, are a little bit more sensitive. It feels like these days. And I want to change that. I think it's okay to have both. And so like the whole reason I came into this is because I was a veteran that didn't have emotional connection. I was just stone cold. Nothing hit me. Like I was so used to just experiencing, trauma and death and things like that in my life that nothing ever affected me anymore. I was just so numb.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Desensitized, yeah.
But then, and I've talked about this before on the podcast, when I was 37, I just hit an all-time low. And I started thinking suicide and all these crazy thoughts because I was having panic attacks. I was taking on so much and I wasn't dealing with it.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, forget it. I was like, almost like, like the guy in 300, he's got the shield up, and he's taking on a million, arrows and he's just sitting there protecting himself. But eventually they're going to start penetrating you. Yeah. And eventually you can't walk anymore. Eventually you're going to die. Yeah. And so I got to that point where I was at an all-time low and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And I've talked about it before. I went to that, trying to think about my why. As long as I know my why, I can figure out the how to get out of this, And I tried different things, medication, it wasn't working. And then forget it. I was like, I'm just going to go back. And then after the Marine Corps, I got into the motorcycle world pretty deep.
Oh,
really deep. I got into like a military club and then I got into like a 1%er club. And then, I was looking for brotherhood and I found it, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
It was just it was a lot having 3 kids and things like that.
Yeah.
And you're always on the line of losing it all. But I guess what I was trying to get at is I got to a point to where I needed to figure it out, and so I got into emotions, right? And I started looking and thinking about that. The reason why I brought up that in my history with the motorcycle world is because we had this thing called prospecting.
Oh yeah.
So you go out and every club that you start up with, you have to prove your seat at the table. Like, okay, well, what do I have to do to get in the club? Oh, you have to, prospect for us. You have to show us that you can serve the table before you can sit at it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I went back to that and I was like, you know what? I'm going to prospect for my kids. And that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to be their everything. And I'm going to show them that I deserve a seat at the table to be their father. And so I just did everything in my power to learn how to get out of whatever I was dealing with.
Yeah.
And so I started dealing with like self-help, things like that. And just kind of literally putting headphones on all day long and listening to self-help and reading books and reading old stuff from Marcus Aurelius and, Genghis Khan and like all these other older philosophers and leaders and stuff like that. I guess what I was trying to get at is after learning about emotion, I started healing. And that's kind of like why we're here today. And that's like kind of like my healing point.
Sure.
And then we got into the same stuff, kind of like where you're at with like helping other men. And then it's about them. And then doing the self-check stuff where you're constantly posting your tasks so that you can show that, hey, this is the type of leader that I am. I'm not a leader that just speaks on it. I actually do it. Yeah. Right. That separates the weak from the strong.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. There's a lot of men out there are saying, well, I struggle with these things internally. I struggle with being a real man because I struggle with alcoholism, or I struggle with sex addiction, or I struggle with drugs, or I struggle with whatever it is, financial gain, and I can't provide for my family. And my family's just talking crap to me all day long because I suck at making money. Well, why do you feel all these things? Well, you feel all these things because you don't have worth. You don't have self-worth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The work instills the worth, right? We've all heard that before.
Yeah.
So getting back to what you were saying, about the emotional vibrations.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, man, because I've grown, I guess, as much as I need brotherhood, I've grown less dependent on other people for motivation or things like that, right?
Me too.
Yeah, and you have to. I think that being a Christian, being a follower of Jesus, the Holy Spirit is I don't need to prove anything to this God that I serve. I don't need to prove anything. I just need to be in this relationship and follow, right? I can only imagine. I've never done jujitsu, but you just got to follow the instruction, the instructor. He's going to teach you the art of jujitsu. He's going to teach you what that's about. You got to be present and you got to obey. And I feel like for me, that's huge. I need to understand that I can't depend on motivation. Now, don't get me wrong. I see your stuff and it's motivating, or I see my conversation with Chuck Liddell, it's motivating, but I can't rely on that because what are you going to do when that source is gone? You have to be willing, right, to just show up every day and do the work. And that's really what got me into my transformation. Is talk about frequencies, to put it in that expression. Like I got to a point when I turned 40, actually, you had yours at 37. When I turned 40, I remember just taking my shirt off and looking, in the mirror like, dang, what have I done to myself? Confident.
Do you look different? I don't remember you at 40.
I lost 50 pounds, dude.
Okay,
I lost 50 pounds.
You look great, man.
I appreciate that.
Put 50 pounds on you right now?
Put 50 pounds. In fact, if you go to conquerorspirit.com, again, that's conquerorspirit.com.
Conquerorspirit.com.
And you click on
I want to pull this up.
Fitness. Conqueror Spirit, CONQUEROR Spirit.com. You can see it before and after.
I'm like half retarded when I type stuff in.
Yeah,
so
no, it's all good. But
that Marine Corps stuff, right?
Yeah. But
can't spell worth nothing, man.
Yeah.
But I could lead a pack of Marines.
There you go. Heck yeah, man. And so you can see a before and after, right? But see,
how do you spell that again, brother?
CONQUEROR and then Spirit, all one word. Conquerorspirit.com. And I'm sure it'll be in the
description. There's a lot of Marines listening right now. They're going to
heck yeah.
Oh, dang, that's cool, man.
Yeah, so we got
this website's awesome.
Appreciate it. You need a website.
I like the black and red. Those are my colors.
Yeah, dude. Got that blood red going.
Man, I wanted another reason why I wanted to bring you in here is because I see what you do and everything, and talking about vibrations and how important they are. We can get into that because that's important. But if there's a guy out there, man, because this is a self-help podcast, right?
Right on.
And he's just sitting there, bro, and he's like, you know what? I feel bad for myself. Poor me, poor me, poor me. Okay. What do you have to say about that guy? How does he get his head from the lowest point possible?
Yeah.
He's almost hit rock bottom. He's not making money. He's sitting at home. He's looking for mom or dad to fix it for him. He feels bad for himself. He has zero direction. He doesn't have religion in his life. What do you tell that guy?
Yeah, man.
Like, where do you start, bro?
Yeah.
Where does someone start if they're like, Anthony, I need help, bro?
Yeah.
Step one. What's step one? What's step one?
Step one is probably realization. Understand that you're stuck and you're in a prison. You need to get out, right? Some people never get to that point. Some people never get to a point where they know they need to change. So if you're at that point, you're struggling in your faith and your spirituality and your physicality, wherever you're at in life, realizing you're stuck. Okay, now you know the problem, so let's get out of it. Now, listen, me being a man of faith, I believe that.
So you have to be willing to listen.
You got to be willing to listen, and you have to be willing to accept reality. How many men out there are delusional? You're fat. And
dude, you're so freaking right.
Right?
Bro.
You're delusional. Yeah. Like you think. I thought I looked good. I was 50 pounds heavy. I was probably 30.
So what do you weigh right now, bro? So if you guys can't see it and you're not on YouTube or something, but Anthony's he's pretty shredded. He's got a chest. I see the muscles, bro.
Yeah. You know what, man? So I went from about 35% body fat, all the way down to probably about 9%. Now I'm probably at about 12 to 15% right now.
Okay.
But all that to say, it's one thing to get there and it's another thing to maintain, right?
Correct.
Because a lot of us think the goal is just to lose the weight, look good, whatever it is, but maintaining it is actually harder to that's the lifestyle. That's the showing up every day with your system in place. And that's why I actually don't like social media. I'm okay admitting that. I hate social media. However, if you're going to reach people and you're going to help people, you better get on social media. Gary Vee, I remember, shared that as much as if you want to be off social media, that's fine, but just understand it's not going anywhere. In fact, it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger, right? More podcasts, more platforms coming out. So if I want to reach people and I have a heart to reach men, I better get on social media. And that's what I started doing.
So that's like your non-negotiable, basically. Do you have non-negotiables?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And that's what I've learned is like you have to lay out your non-negotiables, right?
Yeah.
So you believe the same thing?
Yeah, you have to, man. I have to work out every day as a non-negotiable. 5 to 6 days a week.
Correct.
I have to work out 5 to 6 days a week. I didn't hit it this morning. I had an early morning appointment, but I'll hit the gym and my son will go with me and we're gonna hit the gym right there.
Me too, brother.
CB Valley. Cool. We gotta
go after.
Let's do it, man. Yeah.
Team A team over here.
I see him doing his burpees. Dude, I see you out there doing your thing, man.
So I probably shouldn't be doing them as much as I'm doing, man, because I got this shoulder thing going on. But you know what? I don't care because I do it for them, bro. And back to what you're saying, non-negotiables. Dude, that was like the thing that set me apart from my own self. And I was like, all right, if I'm not putting it on paper and then first publicizing it actively, it doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything because all it is your word to yourself. 100%. And my word to myself means something.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, it means that you can kind of brush it off under the rug. And I can go, you know what? That's cool. I got what I'm going to say to myself, and I'm going to keep it in here, and I'm not going to tell anybody about it. But yeah, I'm going to get fit soon, and I'm going to take care of myself. But you know what? I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow becomes next week, and then next week becomes next month.
And then next week.
Yeah.
You want me to do burpees right now? I'll get down and do some burpees right now. I'll show you.
I believe you. I believe you. I
because
believe you.
I'm about doing the work
There you
because
go.
I know that the work instills the worth. And for me, it's always a challenge. Like, oh, you don't think I can do that? Cool, bro.
Yeah.
I play that game in my own mind.
Yeah.
I tell myself like, oh, you're not going to go to the gym? All right, cool. Well, yeah, you remember all that stuff you were saying yesterday about how you're going to help people? You're full of it.
Yeah.
You're full of shit.
Mm.
And I go, you're full of shit, Colt? Okay. So it's almost like I'm having a conversation with myself. And I think people need to recognize that.
So there's great stuff there. A couple things I want to talk about for
Yes, sir.
a quick second. I want to mention. You ever seen the movie The Ghost in the Darkness?
Yeah,
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer
With the lions that are man-eaters?
Lions, yeah, and they're man-eaters. It's in Africa, and there's this man-eating lion that's taken out these Africans in the village. So they hire Michael Douglas's character is like this, old school, hunter, big game hunter, and Val Kilmer shows up. And there's a scene in the movie where Val Kilmer sees this lion, and he takes aim at it. And Michael Douglas is a little far off, and he has like this peripheral vision of him, and a view of him, and he's like, "All right, take the shot." And Val Kilmer's there, and he sees this lion, and he's got him in his crosshairs, and he pulls a trigger, and it clicks, boom, misfire, and that lion comes at him, and then everybody just starts shooting at the lion. They didn't get him, and Michael Douglas pulls Val Kilmer aside, and he says, "There's a quote in prize fighting that everyone has a plan until they get hit. You just got hit." And I was like, dang. And Mike Tyson's actually used that before. He said that. But the reason I bring that up,
everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
get punched in the face, right? And so that's,
what does that mean exactly, though?
Well, here's what it means: is you can write down 10 things you want to do in life, and the real test is, are you willing to still do those things when you get punched in the face with life? When things don't go your way in your marriage, when you lose your job, when you lose somebody, are you still willing to put the work in and do what you said you were going to do? We get punched in the face every single day. That's the biggest battle that I think I face. It's just life. You get hit with something. You're struggling in an area. You're dealing with some depression. You're dealing with doubting yourself. Someone betrays you. I've been betrayed this year by 3 people I thought I could trust. Betrayed, lost money, right?
Me too, man.
Yeah, 100%. But what did it teach me? I'm not going to trust everybody. I laid 2 hands on people too quickly, and but I learned my lesson. But I'm still continuing to move forward, and that's the thing that I wanted to bring up is that
you're going to still get up every day and you're going to do the work.
But see, I haven't always been that good. Like I'm not a robot. We're human beings, and anybody who gets on social media and says I never miss, they're lying. In a sense of, in some way, they're missing. They're compromising in some way, but they're continuing. Most of these people say, "Okay, then I'm going to continue."
I like that.
I'm authentic, man.
I'm not missing, but I'm continuing.
I'm continuing. Like yesterday, I'll be quite honest with you. I did some binging yesterday. I came off my macro plan, and I just binged. I'm like, dang, I feel horrible about it. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to learn from that.
I like that.
But this is my point: is that like we can't expect perfection, but my issue has always been I just let that roll into more issues in my life. And you can't do that. You can start fresh. Every day you start fresh.
So forget about perfection. Focus on consistency.
I mean, is perfection, is it attainable?
No,
Can you be
right?
perfect?
No. The only person that's perfect is God.
There you go, man. And so
But you can be like him.
I'm striving to be like God.
You're striving to be like him, right?
Absolutely.
Be as close to him as possible. Pick up your cross. Yeah.
Right?
So you're not going to be a perfect man, right? No one's a perfect man. But you can strive to be a continuous man that's working to be perfect.
Let's work.
That's what you can strive
perfection.
towards.
Yeah. And you can change your habits. You can change how you spend your time. You can change your mentality. It's all about the mindset. And we know this, right? One of my favorite scriptures in Romans, right? Where Paul talks about the renewing of the mind. If you can renew your mind to believe that you do have purpose and you're not done and you're not going to be a loser, and you can start to change your habits to align with that, it'll change your life.
Wow.
Because think about that, right? How many alcoholics are out there saying, this is it, this is my life? Well, you stay in that mode. So if you think your life sucks, guess what? It sucks. Right? It's very simple. If you think your life has purpose, guess what? It has purpose. So then now put the action behind to do that. So that's what I didn't do for years. Here I am, this follower of Jesus. I'm following God, but I got too comfortable. I gained 40, 50 pounds, body fat went up, just lost confidence in myself. I remember the moment I'm walking around my house without my shirt, and I got 3 sons, Joshua, Josiah, and Jesse. And I remember when they're little boys, they looked at me like, dang. And I'm like, what are you guys looking at? Like, dang, Dad, you're fat.
Oh.
And that's okay, right? It hurts. But I'm like, and then I saw my friend, John, they call him Big John on Instagram. He talk about a guy who transformed. This guy was, if he wasn't 300 pounds, he was pushing right up there. And this guy's shredded now. You can look him up, Big John Fit. He's a high school friend of mine. We grew up together. And I remember I reached out. I'm like, dude, you are looking good, bro. What are you doing? I hired a coach. So that's the other thing that I would say to some of your viewers. Hire a coach. Hire somebody.
Do you do that? Are you a coach?
Oh, I am a coach. Absolutely. Yeah. So I walk with some guys. Yeah. So conquerspirit.com, you can sign up for coaching. I got something for everybody. You want 30 days, I'll get you 30 days. I've got 90 days, I've got 6 months or a year. Cool. Better deal, you hang with me for a year, right? If you really want a foundation of new habits and establishing kind of this new creation self, you can't just do 30 days. You got to have like a good 6 months to a year of mentorship, of walking with somebody. So we dial you in, we get on Zoom chats, we'll get you your macros, which you need. We'll give you the workouts. We do all that. And there's the accountability. I did that and it changed my life. So shout out to Coach G, Guerrero Fitness. And for those who don't know, Coach G.
Hello. Yeah, I've heard of him.
You've heard of him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Coach G was the coach for my friend Big John. And the cool thing is Coach G reached out to me because I commented on Big John's Instagram on one of his posts. And he asked me like 2 questions. One question really that hit me. He reached out on social media and said, hey, big dog, how's your health and fitness? That's all he had to ask me. And then I just said, it sucks. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm not confident. I'm fat. And I've bought into the lie that I can't even lose 1 pound. There's people out there who don't believe they can lose weight. That's a lie. You can. You're just on the wrong program. And it's all math and science. You can lose weight. And then he said, and then I said, the only one, and this is where I think the breakthrough happens, the only one that I have to blame for that is myself. I did it to myself. And he goes, well, let's just tap into that warrior mindset. I said, all right. The next day I was signed up. I did a 3-month program with him. He dialed in all my stuff. And he was like, for those who have heard of Wes Watson, he was like one of Wes Watson's first guys who did like a transformation. Okay. And it changed his life. If you don't if you've never watched Wes Watson, the guy's obviously, living the life of, he's got this life where he's living. And if you're attracted to it, you got to do the work. You got to be consistent, all this stuff. And a lot of guys, we get lazy. And that's where I was. So I had to hire a coach. Still, I lost 30, 40 pounds, and then I eventually went on my own and then got to the remainder of the 15, 20. But all that to say, you need people in your life. Invest in yourself, right?
You got to pay to play.
You got to pay to play. Listen, if you can do it by yourself, great. Do the research. Go on Google, figure it out, talk to people. But like me, I felt like I needed some help. Reach out. There's nothing wrong. If you get hurt, you're going to go to a doctor. You're going to get help.
So if someone needed you, like how would they contact you besides going to the website? What if they felt personal? They could text you on like Instagram or something?
Yeah, no, man. I mean, absolutely. Reach out.
Yeah, you're super approachable.
Put it on the description. Put my cell phone. I don't care, man. My number's public. I'm not trying to privatize that at all. But if you need help, whatever it is, we'll get you on a program. And there's a lot of people out there who are doing this, but you got to go with someone that really resonates with you.
So if someone gets on your program, the first thing you're going to do is take what is it? Where's the strong points that you need help with?
Yeah,
right?
we're going to break it down. We're going to talk through where you at.
Because it's a whole thing, right? It's not just, I'm going to help you make $1 million. It's like, no, we're going to show you the steps that you need to make the best version of yourself, right? By losing weight or helping you with your program here, getting your mindset right.
Exactly. And listen, if you stick to the program, the results are guaranteed. Just like anything, right? If you stick to the program, it's going to eventually happen. If you're grinding at work, eventually it's going to happen. If you're following the program and the macros, your carbs, fats, and proteins, and we keep you at a caloric deficit, you will lose 2 to 3 pounds every single week if you don't compromise. So the results are guaranteed if you follow the plan, right? And that's a cool thing. When you lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, you're like, this is amazing. This is great. And all of a sudden you start to get confidence back. right? And then you learn how to stick to a program and not compromise. That's what I needed to learn, man. So as I was getting coached by Coach G, God was just speaking to me like, hey, this is in the Bible. This is in the Word. Like this whole idea of not giving up, right? Never tire of doing what is good, for in due season, you'll reap if what? If you don't give up. I just gave up way too early. Some of us are like right there and we just give up way too early. You gotta see something through.
You ever seen that picture, that cartoon picture that's always online about the guy that's like digging in a trench, and he has like, he's trying to dig for gold, and he's like, there's one guy that's like a millimeter from like a little farther away, and he's still digging, but the jewels are like a little farther away. And then there's a guy that like almost made it, and it's literally like one brick wall away, and he's turning around, and the jewels are on the other side. You ever seen that?
No,
picture?
but I read that in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
And he shares that this guy was 6 feet from gold, right? And he quit right before he tapped into it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where a lot of us are. You're 6 feet from the life you want to live. You just got to keep going. You can't giving up will not get you there any sooner. It sounds like common sense, doesn't it?
But that is like the human thing of like, I just give up. I'm doing it wrong. There must be an easier way.
Yeah.
When we give up, we're always looking for like an easier way, a shortcut.
100%.
And I've found shortcuts never work out in the long run.
Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, I've seen
I'm
it.
showing the guys.
I've seen it. You're right there.
Yeah.
Dude. The breakthrough is right there.
Yeah.
For so many different things in life, that's how it is.
But that just means you just need to be consistent.
Yes, sir.
Consistency is persistence.
Sure.
You know
Everybody can go to the gym one time and then that's it. But can you show up even when you don't want to? And this is what I'm teaching my son. It's like, hey, son, no matter how we feel, we show up because we're on a plan. We're doing this. We got our push-pull leg day. That's the other thing people are missing, a structure. You need structure in your life. If you don't have structure, the human nature will just get you to do whatever you feel like doing. But imagine doing things in your life that you don't feel like doing. Imagine loving your wife, dating your wife, that it's maybe difficult for you. But if you do it, because you know it's going to bring fruit in your marriage. When you reached out to me, I was in Grand Canyon with my wife.
Yeah, you sent me a picture.
I sent a picture from the Grand Canyon. Like, he's like, hey, can you be on my podcast this Friday? I'm like, I'm literally at the Grand Canyon with my wife. I sent a selfie. Listen, relationships are freaking hard. I'm not going to sit here and act like my marriage has been smooth. It has not been. Some people will act like that, not me. My wife and I have had to work a lot on where we're at today, and we're still working through stuff. But are we committed to working through the process? Are we committed to working on ourselves to become the best? I don't like to use the best version. I'm not judging anybody who does, but I don't want to just be the best version of myself because maybe that's not good enough. I want to be what God's called me to be. I want to be that man of God. I want to be that father, that husband that provides.
You want to be where it's needed for God, where God calls you.
Yeah, absolutely. But all I'm saying, the point I'm trying to get at is, if you're not consistently doing those things, even when you don't feel like doing them, you will never transform. It's impossible to transform. You can't do it unless you're willing to do, like, I'm sure when you do jiu-jitsu with this amazing black belt, is that correct? Are you a black belt?
I'm a first degree black belt. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm like I make black belts.
Eric's bad.
What do you mean by that? You make black belts?
I could take you from day one, and that's with years, like you said in the program, right?
Yeah.
With years, step by step, we could get you to black belt.
Wow, that's I love that.
Yeah,
yeah, we'll talk about that. That's cool.
Eric's got a phenomenal teaching program, man. He makes it so easy to be receptive to jiu-jitsu. Like so easy.
What's your ethnicity?
I'm Mexican.
Are you Mexican?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's right. Durango, you said. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
What's your?
Yeah, we've been here about 3 generations.
Okay.
Yeah, but my great grandfather was from Durango.
Right on.
From. Yeah. My wife, her family's from Jalisco.
So you're Mexican too?
Yeah, Mexican.
Nice.
You know what? I can find a bathroom in a restaurant.
Colt, you too?
Yeah. You got some Mexican?
Yeah.
Are you Italian?
I'm like the other side of the world Mexican.
Yeah.
There you go. Exactly.
Italians and Hispanics have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Especially with like family.
Yeah.
And,
No, absolutely.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
But I like what you said. You said something earlier about the consistency. I hate running. If there's one thing I hate doing, it's running. I hate running. So I said, I better start running, right? Imagine doing the things you hate doing because you know they're good for you, but you do them anyway. So I got this trail that I run right here in Wildwood. You ever been to Wildwood in Thousand Oaks?
Yeah.
It's an awesome, beautiful spot out there. I used to film old Western movies out there. And there's a spot called Lizard Rock. I own Lizard Rock now. I can never imagine, and I say I don't own the property, obviously, but like I won't allow Lizard Rock to ever own me ever again. Because I used to look at Lizard Rock, but I'm not going to run up there. Well, I said, you know what? I'm gonna just walk. I'm gonna hike it. All right. And then I showed up again. All right, I'll hike it. You know what? Let me just jog a little bit. And I'll jog. And then I got a little further and I'm like, you know what? Let me get a little further. And I got all the way up to like where it goes up into the Lizard Rock, into the mountain. And I said, okay. And I'll just walk up here. And then eventually I said, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to run this mofo. I'm going to do this. And I threw my shirt off, got some rays, and I just jogged all the way up to Lizard Rock. I never thought that was possible. And it's probably, the loop is only maybe 3 miles, but you're going uphill, a lot of it. And the point being is that consistency allowed me to just, when I kept showing up and pushing myself, I achieved something I never thought I would enjoy. I love it. I can go to Lizard Rock right now and run it. And I get up there and I pray. It's awesome. It's a spiritual experience for me. But I did things I hated doing that I knew were good for me. And that changed my life.
That's cool. You reached a new level.
I reached a new level.
That consistency, that one step forward.
I got my black belt in that area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's probably still more land. And that's my big thing. Like,
what did that bring you on the emotional vibrating chart? I'm curious.
I can't, you know what?
So guys, we're looking at the vibration chart here. And this is like all forms of emotion, right?
Yeah.
You have the highest, which is enlightenment. And then you have the lowest, which is shame. I thought it was anger. But I think there's a couple different charts, but anger is still one of the lower ones.
Put me on enlightenment, man, because when you conquer a new level of your life, when I lost 50 pounds, I was enlightened, man. When I conquered Lizard Rock at Wildwood, I was enlightened. When put me there, man. Now I've gone from literally the lowest vibration to the highest vibration, probably in the same day. Is that possible to do?
Totally.
Because that's a human experience. That's what it needs to be. Yeah, right? Dude, that's what
and that's what we talk about though, is your vibrations adjust. It's like a wave. You know what I'm saying?
That is the human experience and my bank account experience. Like rich one day, broke the next. Like, like
fantastic verbiage from a business owner. That's the lifestyle. It's a wave.
Yeah,
you know?
that's the lifestyle. That's the entrepreneur right there, man. That's you getting out there grinding it, man. And a lot of people think you reach success overnight. That's a dang lie. No one ever reaches success overnight. People don't see all the hard work, all the sweat, all the tears, all the anxiety,
trial and error,
all that, man, that got to a point where it looks like it's overnight, right? Heck no.
What do you consider success?
Dang, man. Listen, I think success, honestly, is family, brother. It's family, man. Having a healthy family. Having a great marriage, having a great relationship with your kids, that is the ultimate success. Because I used to work as a director of spiritual life at a high-end private school in Westlake, and I would see uber rich families who live behind the gates in Sherwood, uber rich. I mean, I counseled celebrity kids, and dang, I bet you they wish that they had a loving family dynamic other than all the riches in the world, right? So if you were to say, what's success? It's not going to be monetary for me. It's not, because that stuff fades away. Do I need money? Absolutely. I want to provide for my family. Absolutely. But I would much rather have a healthy wife, marriage, and relationship with my kids. Now, listen, I think true success it starts there in Christ. And then guess what? You can move your family into that success too as a unit. It's possible to do that. So I think the success for me is just having a strong, healthy family. That's success to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I want it all. I want all of it, brother.
I love, like, I'm in the same alignment with you.
Yeah.
Like, first it's God, family.
Yeah.
But then how do you get all that? A lot of it has to do with financials, because a lot of people are probably saying to themselves, like, Colt, you're bullshitting, bro. Money's in there somewhere, to be successful. You're absolutely right. Money creates time.
Yeah.
Okay. It creates time, and time is love. And if I have enough love to give to my family because I've created enough time and now love, I can give that to my family. I can have the financial freedom to be free. That's why it's called financial freedom,
right? Because
you're free to do what you want. It's all about buying time. Money buys you time. Okay. It buys you more time alone, so that you can do what you want to do with that time. And time is love, so you can give that love to your family. So, or go to church, or make yourself a better person, or have freedom to wake up when you want to, or whatever that is. So for me, like, my time is everything. So if I can make enough money to provide for my family, have a decent life, travel the world, go see places, create experiences that create deep emotional impacts that keep us together, bonded correctly. That's what you need money for. And that creates the time, and the time creates the love.
Yeah. I heard Rampage Jackson, he was on some podcast, and he talked about that. He just talked about how, there's other people in like say African village, and they're so happy because they got a great little family, and they're not
like in Uganda, you see those kids that do all like the dancing stuff.
They're smiling, and here we are in America, and we're hustling, man. We're in this like rat race, and it's like we're missing that present. We were talking about that earlier, and it's like, nah, man, enjoy the process, enjoy where you're at. Like the gym should not be something that is like, oh, I hate doing this. Enjoy it. Start doing it. And I just think the way God made us, once you 15 minutes in, the endorphins are flowing, you're feeling good. I'm sure like that's the same thing with when you're rolling in jiu-jitsu. Is you're just like, man, okay, you're feeling good now. This is great. So I don't know, man. I think success, a lot of people define it differently. And I just think of the words of Jesus when he says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his own soul? I'm not into that. I would never exchange the world for God and his blessings, but I do believe that money solves problems and you can bless people with money. And it's very important. I'm a big advocate of becoming wealthy. Become wealthy, help change people's lives, help invest, give, do all those things. So don't get me wrong. I want to make a boatload of money. My goal at 45 is to be a millionaire, and by 50, multimillionaire. I'm not afraid to say that. And I'm a pastor, but I'm also an entrepreneur. And
I want that for you.
Absolutely. But so you want that for the right people, right? The people who have the right hearts, because we all know people who are just mastered by money, and that's all it is. I think about Dan Bilzerian. That guy's like, he's got so much money. He's got women everywhere. He's got this, but I don't know if he's really happy, It's
hard to see it.
It's hard to see.
Talking to him.
Yeah.
But going back to like what you want for other people. Like I think there was a time in my life where I wanted it all for myself, right? Because I was selfish, not selfless.
Yeah.
And I talk about this often. And I always say to myself, like, I want you to be successful, truly. And I want you to be successful financially, spiritually. I want you to have as much love as possible. I want to be your biggest fan. And I want that not just for myself, but I feel like the more you want that for other people, the more you're going to get it back.
Yeah.
Right? Because if I want you to be successful and I ask for nothing in return, I'm going to get that energy back. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Not just because I feel it and it's not genuine. Like, what does it cost me to want you to be successful?
Yeah.
For your own family. Like, I'm like, dude, freaking right on, man. You started your own rich. This is freaking awesome, bro. It motivates me to want to do it too.
Fires you up too. Yeah.
Dude, I see a website like that. I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
Like you just went from like, I'm super proud of you to like, dude, what's going on here?
Yeah.
How did I not meet you before?
Yeah.
Well, and so stuff like that is stuff that we all learn from each other. Like you get motivated. He started a jiu-jitsu school not too long ago. And now it's blown up, bro.
Heck yeah.
But it's not because there's a jiu-jitsu school. It's because it's him.
Yeah.
It's him. He's the different part. And that's what we all got to realize. People buy into you.
Yeah.
Whatever you are, they want a piece of.
Yeah.
They want to know what it is that you're selling, and they want it if they believe in you, if you lead those right traits.
Right.
And the right traits is what? Showing and doing. That's why people like Wes Watson are so successful. Yeah. Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. They show by doing. They do the work. Yeah. They show it publicly.
Yeah.
And I think that if you're publicizing the work, you're attracting the different energy waves that are coming with it. People are flocking to you almost like a magnet. They're like, oh, I want to be around that because that's who I want to be.
Yeah.
Because I've never like looked at myself and said like, okay, this is the guy that I want to be. No, this is the guy that I need to be. Yeah. I need to be that person.
Yeah.
And I need that person in my life because I always struggle with having a father around.
Yeah.
Because my dad transitioned into a female, started to when I was 5.
Oh, wow.
And left us.
That's before it was cool, man.
I know, right?
That's
that was
rough,
and
dude.
so I kept it a secret my whole life, and I struggled with it mentally, emotionally. And I used to lie to people. People always be like, hey, where's your dad? Oh,
it's easier to lie than to explain, right?
No, I used to tell people my dad was in prison my whole life. And until I was around 37 is where I had my awakening. I hit that part in the abyss where I wanted to jump in, but I couldn't. And then I ended up saying, you know what, I'm just going to jump in head first because I got to that point where I was like, you know what, the point in my life right now where I'm at is just so traumatizing and emotional that I have to make change. I have to make change, because if I don't,
Yeah.
I'm going to die with this, and my kids are going to portray my same feelings, and it's going to carry on. It's going to be repetitive for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So do I want to change myself for me, or do I want to change myself for the history and stop the history right now and have a history that's profound with like better goals and a more emotionally stable family? Because I struggled so hard with that. And so as soon as I realized, what I needed to do, I did it.
Yeah. Well, man, first of all, I appreciate you being vulnerable. That's heavy stuff, man.
Thanks.
And not enough men are vulnerable like that, and rightly so, because you have to have a trust with people. You have to be willing to share. Are you willing to, the kind of friends and brothers that I need in my life, or if I tell you something, you're not going to judge me for it, and you're not going to think anything differently.
You're not going to twist the knife. I got you.
Absolutely. So you need those men, dude. You got to have them in your life. So do you have a relationship with your dad?
So yeah, I've talked about this on the other podcast, but I'm going to share a quick note with you. I have, when I was around 37, I was having all those panic attacks and stuff. And long story short, my sister had come out to me and she had said, "Hey, Dad wants to come over." My dad's name is Lisa now. My dad has, breasts now and is a totally different person. And my dad was going to come over when my sister wanted to invite him. And I said, "You know what? No, absolutely not. I'm not coming over there." There's all that hate spewing out. Finally, I hung up the phone and I called her back maybe 10 minutes later. And I said, "You know what? If I keep doing this, my kids are going to feel the same pain that I feel." Mm-hmm. And I'm freaking done with that.
Yeah.
I'm done with hurting so much. I'm just going to be honest with myself. And I'm going to tell the world exactly who my dad is. And I'm going to let it go. So I went over there. I said hi to my dad. I haven't talked to my dad in years.
Years? How many years?
I don't know, man.
Decades?
I mean, maybe every 5 years there was a call or something, but it wasn't like consistent. Maybe 10, 15 years, after the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And then I struggled with trying to find brotherhood and a family. And I just always was looking for this dad. Like, someone take me, please be my dad. 37 years old, I was looking for a man to be my father. But I had him here the whole time.
Amen.
He was here.
Yeah.
It's God. Yeah. God is my father.
Amen.
He's always been there for me. And not to mention, I needed to be that man that I always wanted for myself. Because for myself, I needed to be that man. Stop being a victim. You're not a victim, bro.
Yeah.
Be the man that you always needed most. Right?
I love that.
And just be that person for yourself. And then give that to your freaking kids. Yeah. They need that man. They need to be shown. I have daughters. They need to be shown what a real man is.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did that, man, I went over there and I was like between mad, I was like low frequency angry. And then I had like love and acceptance in there and a little bit of reasoning, and I had willingness. And then I just started thinking positive. I was like, I'm just going to think clear. This is going to go well. My dad was loving arms. I gave my dad a hug. It was a little awkward. We said hi. And then I took a picture with my freaking dad, bro, and I posted it publicly. And I started the post with, "This is Lisa, but a long time ago, it was my father." That was the post. And it went viral. It went crazy.
Wow. All
these people saying, "Love you, bro." All my friends, my former club friends that I thought would judge me, all these people. And it was the biggest release. I felt I broke a sweat, man, without being hot. Like I just was sweating under my armpits after I posted it. I was crying in my freaking car like a little boy. And I felt in my spirit that I was like this little boy, man, sitting in my truck. And I was like, the spirit of myself was next to me at the man that I could have always been. Mm. And I'm like looking over at him. I'm just like looking over at him. I'm just like putting my arm around him. And I'm like, "You're going to be all right, little dude.
Yeah.
You ain't got to be afraid anymore, man."
Yeah.
Because check it out. All that tough guy shit you've been doing your whole life to try to be the toughest guy in the world, to prove to yourself that you're a man. You've been a man this whole freaking time.
Yeah.
You're a better man. You know why? Because you never left your freaking kids. You were always there for your daughters. You've never quit on them.
Yeah.
And that's who you are.
Yeah.
And you can be whoever you want to be. But it takes you accepting that you're not a victim.
Yeah.
And after I did that post, man,
wow.
Yeah. I felt amazing. So that's the story.
Sure. Powerful,
but
man.
Yeah. So, I mean, getting into it, I know we're kind of wrapping it up here, but I think at the end of all this, and this is just my take on things, I think healing, if there's anyone out there and they're listening to you and they're like, "Dude, I think I need someone like that to guide me. I think I need the help." That's the first step in becoming a man, is realizing that you need help.
100%.
The second step is being honest with yourself, right? Because acceptance is the first, but honesty, and is at the true highest of the authenticity form, if we can scroll up a little bit, Rob, on the screen. Enlightenment, peace, reason, acceptance. You need to be honest with yourself, because I think authenticity is up there too. I don't think it's on there.
No.
Yeah. Being authentic.
It should be.
I think being true to yourself is the biggest release.
Sure.
Whether you're, I mean, I say it all, like, if you're straight, if you're gay, if you're trans, like you being honest with yourself in a point in time to where you can let the world know exactly who you are, I think is extremely important. If you're having feelings of something, because we're all emotional beings, you have to be honest with yourself. And if you're afraid of things, be honest with that. Be vulnerable. Put it out there. Start with social media. The reason why I proclaim social media as being one of the saviors to my health, my mental health, is because you can publicize everything. You can't bullshit social media. You can't tell me that I'm not the person that I am online.
Yeah.
You can't be like, oh yeah, that dude's fake. How can you do that stuff for years consistently and then be like, nah, that dude's fake. That's all fake. How can you do that? Who put the action is the authenticity. The action is the truth. Would you agree?
The action, absolutely. Right. Words are cheap, man.
Yeah.
It's if you're just talking about it, that means nothing, especially in this day and age. A handshake means nothing. I want to see that you can come through on your promise, right? So it's the same thing. Your action will show what you really believe. So if you're in a place where you want to be that man, well, then your actions will line up with that. Be that man, right? Who was it? I think it was Marcus Aurelius. I posted this on my story.
Do not, what is it?
Go ahead.
Do not argue what a good man is or isn't. Be one.
Be him. Be one, right?
That dude's phenomenal.
Let us,
from the general,
right.
From the warrior king, Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah,
dude.
right. Let's stop talking about what it means to be a good man and be one. Be one. Now, a lot of men don't understand what that looks like. And all I want to say is you and I connect on that level. And I don't know where you're at in your faith, but like I need my standard for what a man is I look at the person of Jesus Christ. That's my standard.
God kept his promise, didn't he?
100%.
Not only that, he gave his what? His only begotten son.
Absolutely.
Not only did he just say, hey, I'm going to take care of everybody,
right.
and I'm going to forgive you guys of your sins.
Sure.
I'm going to put myself and then the Holy Spirit inside of you. And then I'm going to give Jesus, my son, to be born and then die on the cross later. He did all of that.
Yeah.
And asked for nothing in return.
Right.
Zero.
Right.
Just believe that I'm your heavenly Father and believe that I'm the one.
Right.
Just believe that.
Right.
Right. That's all you have to be saved.
Absolutely, man. We overcomplicate it, and that's where religion gets in the way sometimes, because religion is works-based salvation. You can never work to be in good graces with God. You can never pay enough money, tithe enough, do enough good deeds to be in the good graces of God. No, it's a free gift. It's love. Do you think that you got beautiful daughters? I see your story, man. It's awesome. Imagine if you told your daughters that they had to work for their love for their daddy, from their daddy. That would suck, wouldn't it? You love them. Why? Just because they're your daughters. I tell my boys this, guys, I'm proud of you. Why, Dad? Because you're my sons. I'm just proud of you because you're my sons. That changes things. You know what I mean? So yeah, getting to your point, you just have to, be in that relationship, choose, to accept what God did on that cross, because we're all sinful people, man. We all miss the mark, and you don't have to stay there.
I think that people need to hear that more.
Yeah.
That was so good, that what you just said.
Yeah.
How many times have someone's ever said, hey man, I'm proud of you, bro? Like, doesn't that just hit like differently?
Jean-Jacques told me this recently, sent me a text, very proud of you. That gets like screenshot, highlighted, saved. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll keep that.
Jean-Jacques a legend.
Yeah. So like, but now like, boom, you just said it. Like, I need to say it to the people closest to me too.
Yeah.
Cause like that energy will give them hopefully boost them in some way.
Yeah.
Take that day in a little different direction,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the blessings just flow out of that, because God, he's our Father and we're his sons and daughters, right? And anytime my kids are obedient, I want to bless them more and more and more, right? Mm-hmm. And I just really feel like that. If you feel like you're in a place you're not receiving blessings, just look at your life and just, okay, what ways do I need to be more obedient in? And no one really deserves blessings, but I just think that God honors when we listen. Your students who you train, man, when they listen to you, they get blessed. They're moving up, like what you said. You're going from blue belt to whatever. What's the next belt after blue?
Purple, brown,
right?
black. Yeah.
Like you're moving because why? Because of the obedience. You're not going to get there if you rebel. You'll never live your God-given potential if you rebel. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is if you're, and that's the event. I know we're closing up on time, but on October 10th through the 13th, myself, founder of Conquer Spirit, and Chuck Liddell, the Iceman, the UFC legend himself, the one who Joe Rogan said without him, you know, the UFC wouldn't be where it is. Dana White's favorite fighter, this and that. He loves men. He wants men to be transformed also. So that event you can find on conquerspirit.com.
This is in Big Bear?
It's in Big Bear.
Sick.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful, well, think about Big Bear.
Elevation.
Well, not only elevation, but that's where fighters go. Champs go to Big Bear to train. De La Hoya has been to Big Bear, right? Tito Ortiz has been up there. Chuck Liddell's trained in Big Bear. A number of fighters have trained up in Big Bear. Most recently, I read that Conor McGregor is going to make Big Bear when he comes back, if he comes back, you know, for his next fight, he'll be training in Big Bear. I just read that recently. So think about it like that too. You're going up the mountain. You know, this is called like the battle for your life here. You know, we're talking about physical and spiritual warfare, and the inner coward, and that's the whole premise behind it. We all have an inner coward that's keeping us from experiencing our God-given potential. You can either listen to the coward or you can tap into the conqueror who I believe God calls us to be. You said, we talked earlier, you want to be like Jesus. Well, he conquered sin. He conquered death. He conquered Satan. We also need to take land in our life. We need to conquer, man. I am restless. We talked about this before the podcast. I'm restless. I'm a restless man.
Me too.
Because man, there's more. There's more land to be taken. There's more. So this event called The Conquest in Big Bear is going to help men. If you're a businessman, if you're looking for leadership, you're looking for brotherhood, you'll get 3
October
days.
13th, right?
October 10th through the 13th.
10th through the 13th.
10th through the 13th.
Great.
So it's a Thursday night. We end Sunday. And
is that like a registration fee involved and all that stuff?
Yeah. So if you go on the website and you click on the experience itself, you'll fill out like a little form, and then I'll get notified on my CRM, and we'll jump on a phone call and talk about it. So in fact, I got a call at 1:00 with a guy.
Nice.
So yeah, men who are looking to invest in themselves. And to be honest with you, man, when can you say you spent 3 days with UFC legend Chuck Liddell? He's going to throw this stuff on. He's going to be doing some training. We're going to do it all. But then we're also going to gather in the living room and talk about stuff that matters. This is what we're doing.
That's awesome.
Every night there's a campfire, and there'll be some cigars for those who want to take part in that. But we're going to just
say less.
Come around.
Say less.
But it's like this is what an intense.
That's where Joey lives too, right? Joey Haas.
Lake Arrowhead. I'm actually heading Lake Arrowhead after this.
It's a beautiful place. My brother-in-law just bought a cabin. I'll be there one day, man. I'm gonna have a cabin.
Me too.
Love it. Yeah.
Get one together, bro.
Yeah, heck yeah, dude.
Guys, you guys heard it from Anthony. He's got a retreat coming up soon, October 10th through the 13th. Let me pull up I just want to get the name right.
Yeah.
Conquer
Spirit. I know Conquer is kind of hard. It's hard on the,
Sorry. Yeah. It's that Marine Corps list.
Conquerspirit.com.
Conquerspirit.com.
Yep.
Guys, I think ending and closing today, we got some pretty good self-healing today, learned.
Amen.
And kind of reinforce some things. Your trauma's not gone if you have it, but you can work through it. I challenge you guys all today just to do one thing, okay? Tell somebody you're proud of them today.
Come on.
Okay? Even if you don't feel like it, all right? Find someone to tell, okay? All you parents that have kids, you should be telling your kids, okay? And if it's not your kids, find somebody to just tell them you're proud of them, because sometimes people just need to hear that. Mm-hmm. You might be the reason why they're moving on in their life. You might be the reason why they're healing, and you might have changed their life that day. It might be because of you. Okay? Tell someone you're proud of them, okay? And if not, tell them something or do something that you most desire, okay? And do it for yourself, because you deserve it. Other than that, until next time, get up, get after it, and get some.